Okay, here we are at the final step. You have created your model, you have slapped the texture onto it, you have edited that texture, and it's now looking the way you want. All that is left is to put this thing into the game. Oh, and let's not forget, you've created your normal map. So normally you would have, so what I've done is I've put everything into one folder here, just for simplicity, to just kind of keep track of where everything is, to point it all out all at once. But normally you would have this in a mod folder, and so these would actually be in their own separate folders, these different files. So actually, just to illustrate that, I'm going to go to my mod folder here, and just to illustrate that, so for every model in Overgrowth, you need some textures, you need the model itself, and you need an object. In Overgrowth, the model that you've created is called the model. The object is actually, it's a file that just points to the different folders, to the different other files that put the whole thing together. And so your models, they're all in here. Your objects are all in their own folder, and your textures are all in another one. And you can choose to organize it even more if you like, but you don't normally have them all dumped in one spot. And another thing that I've done here, just for simplicity, is I just threw that in the tutorial torch folder that I've created. I've thrown that in the data folder. But you normally want to have that in a mod or somewhere else. Normally you don't just dump things in the data folder like that. We're just doing it for ease of use, to keep everything together. And you can guarantee when this tutorial is done, this folder will not be staying in there. Alright, so we have our object, or in this case, in Overgrowth is going to consider this a model. And we have our regular texture and we have a normal texture. This is the object file that's going to point to it all. And this is what Overgrowth will actually be loading up. So in this case, I am going to, all you have to do is just write where everything is. So our model is called Phazon Wall Torch .obj. And I've copied this object file from my mod, so the addresses are all wrong. In this case, I believe everything is just going to be at data, and then tutorial torch, and Phazon Wall Torch. And I'm actually just going to make this tutorial torch folder one word. I don't know if Overgrowth will accept it or not, and the programmer in me is kind of annoyed by that. I'm gonna just make that one word. Okay, let's open that up again. There we go. So we just have it in data. What do we call it? We have it tutorial torch. Tutorial torch slash Phazon Wall Torch .obj. So everything is just thrown into data tutorial torch. Same thing with this, tutorial torch. This is our color map. This is the main texture that details how it looks. So that's the wood, the metal, blah blah blah. And the normal map that we created in the last video, which I named the exact same thing except with an underscore n at the end. Don't worry about the shaders at the moment. If you're unsure of what shader to use, just pick an object that is already similar to what you want, and just see what shaders it has. In this case, this shader will be fine, I'm sure, for what I need. So to reiterate, we just have three main things we need to point to: the location of the model, the location of the color map, and the location of the normal map. And normally they would each be in their own textures and model location. But this is actually complete. This is now an object. And if I've done everything correctly, and we go to open up Overgrowth, we should be able to load that in there. Now, because it wasn't set up like a mod, you're not actually going to see it in the list of things. There's extra steps you have to do to get that working. But you can still load it in. So I'm just going to create a new level here. And normally when you want when you want an object, you're going to go into this list, you're going to find what you want, blah blah blah, you're going to create it. There we are, a lovely arm chunk. I don't want to do that, because Overgrowth doesn't actually know where our object is. But if I go into load item, and I'm going to press Alt Tab, we're going to go over there, and I go back to our data folder here, and we find that tutorial torch folder. This is our object, and if I double click on this, there we go. Now, I didn't bother with worrying about scale and everything, so this should actually be a lot smaller, and that is something that we could have done, is made the torch smaller, but that's a very easy fix. And this is an object created completely from scratch, textured, and in the game as an object that you can interact with. So there you go. Once again, that's just, you choose load item, you find out where your object has been saved, and preferably somewhere in the Overgrowth folder, preferably in a mod of its own. And then you just pick that object, and if you've set up all the directories correctly, you'll be able to load that into the game. And it will be there for you to fool around with. Hello, little torch. And the first thing I do is I hit my head on it. Anyway, I hope this series was helpful for you. If you have any criticisms, I definitely know the tutorial was a little slapdash. So if you have any criticisms or things that you'd like to see improved if I create more tutorials in the future, just let me know in the comments below or in the Overgrowth Discord. Just ping me there. Anyway, like I said, I hope this has been helpful, and good luck with your own models.